A boy stood silently in the endless cold rain, outside an old, fading hospital, whose dim, flickering lights struggled like a weak heartbeat, refusing to give up. His thin, fragile body trembling uncontrollably, his breath uneven and heavy, his eyes swollen and red from hours of crying, yet still searching desperately for a miracle that felt impossibly far away. His small, cracked hands clutched a crumpled piece of paper so tightly, as if letting it go would mean losing the only person he had left in this world. The doctor's cold and emotionless words echoed inside his mind, again and again, like a curse he could not escape. If you don't arrange the money tonight, you will lose her forever. Forever. That single word didn't just hurt. It shattered something deep inside his soul. He slowly lifted his tired, lifeless eyes toward the glass window, where his mother lay motionless, her weak breathing barely visible, her pale face still carrying the same gentle love that once felt like warmth in the coldest nights. He pressed his shaking fingers against the glass, as if he could reach her soul, and whispered in a broken, trembling voice, "Ma, please don't leave me. I am here. I will do anything. Just come back to me. I can't live without you. Please." But silence answered him. The kind of silence that crushes hope, the kind that makes even breathing feel heavy. His legs finally gave up, and he slowly collapsed onto the wet ground, his knees hitting hard, but he didn't react because the pain inside his heart was far greater than anything his body could feel. The rain poured endlessly, soaking him completely, as if the sky itself was crying for him. Each drop felt like a reminder of how helpless he truly was. Memories began tearing through his heart like sharp glass. His mother staying awake all night when he was sick, placing a wet cloth on his forehead, whispering prayers under her breath. Her feeding him the last piece of bread while pretending she wasn't hungry. Her working endlessly with tired, broken hands just to give him a chance at life. Her hiding her pain behind a soft smile so he wouldn't worry. Her voice echoing gently in his memories. "No matter what happens, I will always be with you." And now that promise felt like it was slipping away forever. His chest tightened as he looked up at the dark, stormy sky and screamed with everything left inside him, "God, please, if you are listening, take everything from me. Take my life, my happiness, my future. But don't take her away from me. She is all I have. Please, save her, please." His voice shattered into silence as thunder roared above him. People walked past him quickly under umbrellas. Some glanced at him for a second, but no one stopped. No one cared. No one saw his pain. Time kept moving, but for him, everything had stopped. Hope slowly faded away, and a deep, hollow emptiness took over his entire soul. His tears eventually stopped, not because he was okay, but because even crying felt meaningless now. He sat there motionless, staring into nothing, as if he had already lost everything. Minutes turned into hours, and the night grew darker. The hospital lights flickered again and again, as if even they were struggling to survive. The boy's eyes grew heavy, but he refused to sleep because he was afraid that if he closed them even for a moment, he might lose his mother forever. His fingers slowly loosened around the paper, but his heart still held on to hope with its last fragile strength. His lips moved silently, as if he was still praying. Even though his voice had disappeared, his heartbeat felt louder than the thunder above, as if his soul itself was crying out, just when the silence wrapped around him completely, and it felt like the world had forgotten him. A calm, gentle voice broke through the darkness. "Why are you sitting here in the rain all alone?" He slowly lifted his head and saw a man standing in front of him. The man's face was simple, but his eyes held a depth of kindness that felt real, warm, and rare. The boy tried to speak, but his voice refused to come out. His lips trembled as he handed over the crumpled paper with shaking hands. The man read it carefully. His eyes softened deeply, but his face remained calm. He looked at the boy for a long, quiet moment, as if understanding every pain without needing a single word, and then he slowly knelt down, placing a gentle, reassuring hand on the boy's shoulder, and said softly, "Come with me." There were no questions, no hesitation, no promises, just quiet strength and certainty. The boy followed him like a broken soul, following a small light in endless darkness. Inside the hospital, everything felt fast, loud, and overwhelming. The man spoke to the doctor calmly, handled everything without delay, pulled out money, and paid for the treatment without thinking twice. The boy stood frozen, watching everything happen, unable to understand why a stranger would do something so big for someone he didn't even know. The machines started beeping, nurses rushed, and slowly life began returning to the room where his mother lay. Every second felt like a lifetime, as the boy waited outside, his heart pounding loudly in his ears, his hands folded tightly as if praying without words. Finally, after what felt like forever, the doctor came out and said softly, "She is safe now." Those words broke something inside him, but this time it was relief. He fell to his knees crying, but now his tears carried hope, gratitude, and disbelief. He ran outside, searching desperately for the man who had saved his entire world. But he was gone, vanished as quietly as he had come. Only a small folded note remained in his hand. His fingers trembled as he opened it and read, "You don't need to find me, just promise that one day you will become someone else's miracle." The boy held that note tightly against his chest, as if it had become his heartbeat. That night didn't just save his mother. It gave him a purpose to live, a reason to keep moving forward, a promise that would shape his entire life. Years passed, and the boy grew into a man strong, successful. But the memory of that rainy night never faded. It lived inside him, in every breath, every step, every decision he made. He worked tirelessly, not just to build a life, but to honor that promise. Every time he helped someone, he felt closer to that unknown man. Every time he saw someone in pain, he remembered what it felt like to be helpless, to be invisible, to be broken. As years went by, he began helping more and more people, quietly paying hospital bills, bringing food to the hungry, supporting those who had no one. He never revealed his identity, never waited for thanks, because for him, it was never about recognition. It was about keeping a promise alive, about becoming hope for someone else. Slowly, his small acts turned into a silent movement of kindness. Lives began to change. Stories began to shift, and hope began to spread in ways even he could not see. People he helped began helping others, and the chain continued growing stronger with time, spreading across cities, across lives, across hearts, turning pain into strength and despair into hope. One evening, as he walked past a hospital, the faint sound of crying stopped him. It was a sound he knew too well, a sound that once belonged to him. He slowly turned and saw a small child sitting in the rain, holding a paper, his shoulders shaking, his eyes filled with fear and hopelessness, and for a moment, time froze, because it felt like he was looking at his own past repeating itself. His heart tightened, but this time he was not powerless. Without thinking further, he walked toward the child, knelt down gently, and placed his hand on his shoulder. The child looked up with tear-filled eyes, searching for hope, and in that moment, The man saw himself from years ago. He smiled softly and said the same words that once changed his life. "Why are you crying?" The child handed him the paper with trembling hands. The man read it and felt the same pain again. But this time, he had the power to change the ending. Without hesitation, he stood up, held the child's hand firmly, and walked him inside, ready to fight once again, ready to become the miracle he once prayed for. And as the rain continued to fall outside, washing away sorrow and planting seeds of hope, another life was about to be saved. Another story was about to begin. But this time, something even deeper happened as he stayed beside the child. Through the long, painful night, he spoke softly. "I know how it feels to be alone, but trust me, you are not alone anymore." The child slowly held his hand tightly, as if holding on to life itself. Hours passed, and finally the doctor came out again with a small smile. "She will survive." The child broke down crying and hugged the man tightly, and in that moment, the man closed his eyes, feeling something deeper than happiness. It was peace, it was purpose, it was healing. It was the feeling of becoming the answer to someone else's prayer. Years continued to pass, and the man didn't stop. He became a silent guardian for many people, saving lives, quietly becoming hope for strangers, just like someone once became for him. And somewhere far away, maybe under another rainy sky, that unknown stranger was still doing the same for someone else. And so, the chain of kindness never ended. It kept moving from one heart to another, growing stronger with every act of love, touching lives in ways words could never fully explain, proving that even in the darkest moments, when everything feels lost, a single act of kindness can echo across time and change countless lives forever. And in the quiet, endless sound of falling rain, hope never truly dies. It simply waits patiently for the right heart, brave enough to carry it forward. And even after many years, when his hair turned gray and his steps became slow, he still visited hospitals, quietly, still searched for those silent tears, still looked for that same pain he once felt because he knew somewhere, someone was still waiting for a miracle, just like he once was. And every time he found them, he didn't just help them, he gave them something even deeper. He gave them hope. He gave them strength. He gave them a reason to believe that they were not alone. And as his life slowly moved toward its final chapter, one quiet evening he sat alone watching the rain fall gently from the sky, his face calm, his eyes filled not with sadness, but with peace, because he knew that the promise he once made had been fulfilled again and again, through countless lives he had touched and saved. And just before closing his eyes for the last time, he whispered softly with a faint smile, "That night I asked for one life to be saved, but instead I was given a chance to save many." And as his breath slowly faded, the rain outside continued to fall softly, as if carrying his story forward into the world, touching hearts, inspiring souls, and reminding everyone that even in the darkest moments, kindness can become light, and one small act of love can live forever, beyond time, beyond life, beyond everything. And even after he was gone, people he had helped continued his work without even realizing it, helping others in quiet ways, spreading kindness unknowingly, continuing the promise, creating a world where strangers became hope for each other, where pain turned into purpose, where broken hearts became sources of strength. And slowly, that invisible chain of kindness grew stronger across generations, across places, across lives, touching people who had never even heard his name yet were living because of the ripple he had created. And somewhere in that endless cycle of giving a child once saved, grew up to save another and another and another yearning. One act into thousands, turning a moment into a movement. And if you ever stand in the rain outside a silent hospital and listen closely, you might still feel that story, not in words, but in the quiet courage of a stranger who stops, who cares, who helps, reminding you that miracles are real, not because they fall from the sky, but because they rise from the hearts of those who choose kindness, even when the world looks away.